Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very good. The time is 6 p.m. Will everyone rise to join the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, God, and its soul, and liberty and justice. Let the record show we are missing Darlene Bartline. We'll have to wait and see if she had a family emergency. I know her mom's been real sick. So hopefully it's not nothing too bad. All right, public participation. Great. Would you like to come up and speak?
Well.
Great.
Ray Smith and 9536 Highline Road. I'm just here to say that across the road from me, I would like the property to stay single family residence. I believe on Thursday, there's a 10-year, 20-year outlook at a county, or the township. So I imagine I'll find out what you have in plans for across the road from me on Thursday. I hope it's still single family. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, the open house for the comp plan is from 6 to 8 Thursday night here in this room right here. So everyone is welcome. So bring your neighbors, friends, and pals. And it'll all be good. All right. And you've got to note that if we have quorums for the planning and board meeting, so you guys can come too. All right. And next up is Mark.
Yeah, I can put on there and I'll speak.
Oh, okay. You don't need to speak. You don't want to. Okay, very good. All right, we have the minutes of February 18th.
Can I say something? I was hoping I could respond to the February village board meeting during this time before we get to our agenda items. Is that
Sure.
something?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I was disappointed to hear how the plan commission was portrayed by a member of the village board at that meeting on February 25th. First, I would like the public here to know that the village board is in charge of appointing citizen members to the plan commission. If the village board is questioning our qualifications, then they should think about that prior to appointment. Furthermore, the majority of the plan commission's decisions do go next to the village board, who has final say. We are not a rubber stamp committee. I can only speak for myself, but I do spend hours reviewing this agenda and speaking with staff prior to meetings. I do take my position on this commission seriously, and I was very frustrated to hear that at the village board meeting. I also want to take a moment to correct some false statements made by a member of the board at the February meeting. At the October 22nd plan commission meeting, we recommended that the village board approve a zoning map amendment. This zoning map amendment was to rezone from general agriculture and rural residential to single family residential, which is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use map. The site plan reflected single family lots greater than 12,000 square feet. Contrary to what was stated by the board, there was no mention of duplexes at this meeting. Ultimately, the village board denied approval of that at their subsequent October meeting. And I know that's the same thing that Ray has been speaking to. We do not single family. So thank you.
Okay, I just want to tweak that just a little bit, because when those plans were denied, it was denied on a 4-3 vote.
Okay.
So you had 4 trustees voting against and 3 trustees voting in favor. In fact, Darlene and I both, who sit on the planning commission, we both voted in favor of that rezone, but we lost. We lost that vote. So I appreciate your time and spending everyone's time. And we are not a rubber stamp. We have various set rules that we're supposed to follow. And unfortunately, we have a board that doesn't like to follow those rules, and they like to flip the tables over. So thank you.
And I just want to second a lot of what Lindsay said. I had a lot of the same frustrations from the last board meeting. I also want to state that we rely heavily on staff and Chad to go through the proper protocols, making sure that we're doing everything the right way. And I also felt that it was accusatory towards the village attorney and staff that they weren't trustworthy. So I also wanted to bring that up. And then if we argue, and again, just stating that I felt that the village board member was very accusatory towards the planning commission as a whole. half of us are community members and on the newer side, so there is learnings from all of us. However, we're very eager to learn and adapt to those rules and protocols, so I just want to make that noted that I'm aligned with Lindsay on these comments, so thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to
You wanna
say something as well, because I agree with both of them as well. We're not here because we don't want to be here, right? So, that's, and we are putting the effort too, so, very well said, but both of them, it's very.
It's like, not like you're making big bucks being here. This is basically a volunteer committee. Scott? you
And I
want-
will chime in too, having served as the zoning board of appeals in this commission for over the last 10 years. I spent substantial time doing this, more so longer than some of the board members. And as a resident for 26 years in the town and the village of Harrison, I've seen a lot of things come and go. And it's been a progressive ride. I think the village should be very happy where it is.
Very good. Mark, did you want to chime in?
I agree with your first part of your statements there and stuff like that, you know, about the way we were misrepresented. You know, because we're all trained here to do our best job. I've been here 5 years, but you guys really new. You know, it takes 6 months to get up to speed with some stuff like that. So I commend you for your comments. I respect everyone in here. So. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, is this your last planning commission meeting? or- One more. I'm still trying to twist her arm a little bit and talk her into staying on, but. All right, are we ready to move on, guys?
Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, then we have the minutes of the February 18th meeting. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the February 18th meeting.
I'll second it.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And just because we get our meetings done quickly doesn't mean we're not paying attention. It just means we're very efficient. All right, items for discussion. Additional use approval for an outdoor heating device for Todd Whitman at N 8606 State Park Road, parcel 39303. Josh?
The applicant's seeking to put a wood burner device roughly 90 feet from their front lot line, which is measured around the center of the road. The ordinance reads that it must be at least 150 feet from all exterior properties, but there is a clause in the village code that says the plan commission may conditionally approve location less than 150 feet from all exterior property lines on a case-by-case basis. I had talked to the applicant, Mr. Whitman, who's here right now. He listed some factors such as distance from the accessory buildings behind the home. And somewhere on the other side of the home, there's often, you know, tall black grasses next to the farm field. And then the HVAC hookup to the farmhouse. The nearest neighbor is to the southeast at about 500 feet. The wind does blow from the northwest typically there, so the smoke would be blowing away from that house. Staff does recommend to conditionally approve with the conditions listed in the house.
Mark?
I'd like to make a motion to approve conditional approval for an outdoor heating device, Todd Whitman, and 8606 State Park Road, parcel 39304 is printed circulated with the staff recommendations. You know, this farm is in the middle of, you know, their fields there, and he has no risk to any other dwelling other than across the road, but I'm very comfortable with staff recommendations and approving what he's requesting there or asking for.
Is there a second to the motion?
Like I would, before, I would have one question. Is this a conditional use permit or a change zone?
It's not a conditional use permit, just say the plan commission may conditionally approve.
Okay.
So
So then it's grandfathered into the property regardless of the owner. Conditional use permit is going to the owner rather than the property. This would stay with the property.
this would stay with the property.
Okay.
And you're good with that, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have something to bring up.
Before we get into discussion, we get a second on the motion.
Is there a second on the motion?
I thought it's,
Did you second?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, second by Scott. All right.
I just want to compute if I maybe I misinterpreted you. I believe you said Josh, 150 feet away from the house, but it's actually the property, right?
Exterior product.
Exterior property. Um, was there an existing one, with Vernon? Is this being relocated? No?
No,
So-
this is an outside wood burner. It always had a wood burner in the house. I
Okay.
personally have a wood burner at the other farm. It's 8693, just down the road.
Sure.
I'm very familiar how it works, and last summer I was dealing with my insurance company and they keep moving up the bar as far as where wood burners should be from buildings. So that was my best location for safety. The grass gets cut around it all the time, things like that. Yeah, it's close to the road, but like I told Josh that with my experience, in winter time, mostly the wind comes from the northwest, southwest. Very seldom does it, blow to the west.
Okay.
So,
Thank
I
you.
mean, yeah. I'll back him up. I'm the one that lives there. He's the owner, it sounds like this is gonna get approved, but. If down the road, all of a sudden we have smoke issues going across the road, let us know, and we'll make changes. I mean, I'm open to that.
And there's a clause, mission number 3 is related to it, the causes of nuisance will be working with you, so.
yeah, then you're back. No.
Most definitely, that's why I mentioned it.
And it's a wood burner. I mean, it's not like a
Yeah, it's all,
huge building. It's easy to
it's
move.
just a wood burner for boiling water.
Yeah, I made a mistake by how I found out. I put it where I wanted it, was gonna hook it up. I had a company that was gonna hook it up for me. And they told me I needed a permit. Oh shit. So that's why I'm here. To get that permit and then finding out it has to be so many feet away from the road too. So
Any other discussion?
everything's good then.
Are you ready to call for the vote? All in the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
Yes,
it.
yep,
Oh, so now it's been approved, can I come here and, do I get the permit from you guys? or-
Yeah, so now that it's approved, I'll draft the letter, but then I have to issue a zoning permit. And then Paul Hirschbach, he'll have the building permit. Paul will give you guys a call when it's ready.
Okay.
Which should be sometime, I think, on a couple of business days, so
Okay, so good, I appreciate you guys' time.
you bet. Thank you.
And you don't mind if I excuse myself there? Yeah.
you guys are done. Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
All right, site plan review for the Harrison Fire Station. Who wants to speak to this?
So if we can take team message, Mike is here from McMahon and online is Bailey and hopefully she can unmute and hear us. Can you hear us, Bailey?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
So Bailey.
Perfect.
Bailey is with Wendell Architecture 5 Bugle Design. They're this firm that the village has selected to design and the new fire station that's planned at the corner of County and Manitowoc Road, anchoring the south end of the Harrison Commerce Park. We have been working aggressively with them for a number of months to try to get this to a point where we can go out to bid, and hopefully that's happening sometime in April. The reason we're coming before the board today is really to get approval on the site plan. And I'll let the folks from McMahon kind of walk through kind of the specifics related to the site plan, but this has been a work in progress with village staff and a number of firefighters almost every week to try to get this station to where it can go up the bid, and we're hopefully close to the finish lines. We are looking for support from this board to adopt this and then move forward. One thing I will say is that point number 1 in the recommended action consents the egress and access points on Manitowoc Road. So Manitowoc Road is a access control road, basically stating that all driveways just can't go out into the road. However, given that this is a public safety facility owned by the village, We believe that it makes the most sense to allow that driveway to go out onto Manitowoc Road. Obviously, we can't go out onto County Highway N because County N is an access controlled highway and it's controlled by the county. So this makes the most sense. We just want to make sure that it's in the minutes of the board. So if an action is made tonight on this, that you would reference that granting that access onto Manitowoc Road, so that can be carried forward at the village board as well and be documented for future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike. If you want to step up to that podium.
Yeah.
And between you and Bailey, maybe tag team or however you want to handle it, but walk through the kind of site plan and how this is laid out.
Sure. So Bailey and I did not rehearse this at all. So Bailey, you can jump in whenever you'd like to.
Sorry, can I get your name?
Oh, yeah, I was just about to introduce myself here, yeah. As Chad mentioned, my name is Mike Holbeck. I'm with McMahon Associates, civil engineer on the project. We're responsible for putting together the site plan along with Wendell, and then putting together the grading plan and the utility plan and landscaping and all those other components of the design itself. So as Chad mentioned, this is for the fire department that's going to be located in the northeast corner of Manitowoc Road and Future Homestead. It is proposed on lot 12 of the Harrison Commerce Park plat, which I believe is still in the process of being reviewed, I think, at the state level. Yeah, okay, good. Lee coached me up a little bit on it, but so the building itself, and I know that you guys have the packets in front of you and there's a bunch of plan sheets in there. If there's any questions or you want to see some more detail, I do have some large prints of all the plan sheets that are included in your packet. So the fire station itself is roughly 21,000 square feet is going to be the base bid. There are some alternates that are included that potentially bring it up to just underneath 24,000 square feet.
That's the 2 extra bays.
The 2 extra bays, correct. Yep, exactly. So, you know, the site plan itself, what we have called out here that Chad alluded to is we have the entrance that comes out on the Manitowoc Road, which is going to be the primary exit for the apparatus coming out of the apparatus bays. And then in the north side of the lot, we have 55 parking stalls, primarily meant for well, I'm going to use the word employee, but it's really not employee, right? I guess it would be for the firefighters parking. And then we have a 24 stall parking lot to the west that would be for visitor parking as well. Packet that we have does not include all of the plan sheets yet. We still are working on the landscape plan and also on the site lighting plan. But in the packet, you'll see that we have the site plan, the grading plan, and a utility plan as well.
So the plan is to come, when they're coming back to the station, they're gonna go up Homestead and then through the back parking lot and then pull in that way so they can pull forward.
That's the intent right now. Yeah, we did have some discussions with Fire Chief on that. I think he kind of left it open. I think that's going to be primarily their route for coming back into the facility, but you know, if they do end up getting a larger fire truck, he said that they couldn't rule out the possibility that they would back in or pull in off of Manitowoc Road itself. But yes, the primary route would be ingress off of Homestead, egress onto Manitowoc.
Yeah, so drive through facing south.
Drive.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Garage doors in the back and front.
Yeah, drive through facing south.
Yep.
With the engines.
Yes.
So so the plan to figure out stormwater was to improve Manitowoc Road to the east side of the driveway and urbanize that section. So it's designed that way. We're not going to do that right away, but we do believe it's going to have to be done in probably short order because I don't know that that road is built for turning of vehicles if they're going to back off of Manitowoc. So when McMahon did the design and the stormwater, they looked at how to, and you know, what needed to be done on Manitowoc to catch any of the storm runoff so that in the future the village can get that done. On Homestead, we're opening bids tomorrow on the master grading for the entire Commerce Park, the stormwater detention pond, and the utilities and street for Homestead. There's an alternate bid to not put Homestead all the way through it and just bring it up a certain point to catch these driveways. And then once development occurs in the future, depending on the costs, we would connect the middle piece of Homestead Road in case it's over our budget where we stand today. But we'll know more tomorrow based on where the costs come in. But it will still service these two parking lots. What I would also say is, you may look at this and say, why so much parking? The reason is because there's a huge training facility in the front of this building that will serve as an emergency operations center for this side of the county in an emergency, which we don't have today. And if that was the case, we would need additional parking. There's also talks about in the future, maybe this is a polling location for the village and other meeting space. So we just want to make sure that we're capturing enough parking to accommodate those larger groups that might be using that space.
So how far are you planning to do the urbanization on Manitowoc?
Just to the east side of the driveway that comes out,
Well, just so that area where you got the detention,
where we have the detention pond, that would still be a full cross section.
that's a rural, so that's all gonna be open ditches at that point?
Correct.
Okay.
And the fire station was situated on this lot as such. One, because of the access to the new road, but two, it also leaves some additional space to the east that if there is ever a need for the future for additional bays or some other type of facilities for the village, we have some space to still do that.
So this plan includes the extra bays?
This plan has the alternate bays showing on there, but they're being bid as an alternate to make sure that we have the money to at least build a forest station.
On the right-hand side of the building, you'll kind of see that white rectangle that's there. That would be the alternate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys have any questions?
So that stormwater pond, like, no matter what part of like the alternate bids we accept or are able to go through, like, that's all in contingent, like the max size currently as stated on the plan.
Yeah, what is shown is what the size of that pond would be to service this whole development.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all runoff from the fire station will through a storm sewer system go to that pond. But yeah, Chad's absolutely right.
You said the fire chief didn't rule out driving in what would be the exit and kind of turning and backing up the fire truck. We're looking at, over 60, 70 feet from the road, looks like.
Mhm.
So it looks like you can drive into it and then, have you had conversations where can you drive in fully without having to obstruct traffic and still back in? Is that kind of the intention to have that skirt that long for long enough to do that?
Well, no, in order to back into the apparatus bays, I believe that, they would have to occupy Manitowoc Road for a little while and actually make that backing maneuver.
Yeah.
Now, what we did is there's that driveway that goes along the east side of the bays. That has been sized and we have run truck turning movements on that so that to prove that a truck would be able to actually drive along the east side of the building and then loop around and come in the north side.
Yeah, that's the best case.
It is, absolutely.
We're obviously not gonna,
Yeah.
we're gonna be doing a project of this size when we want to do it right the first time.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I should preface that would be if the village bought a ladder truck. We don't have a ladder truck fleet today.
Yeah.
If we get to the point of needing a ladder truck, that's when it would be that's when we need to address it.
Oh.
Hopefully at that point, we would also have Manitowoc and improved in this location as well. But yeah, the current fleet could easily turn in here and make those turning movements. It's a larger ladder truck.
So if that were for some reason that homestead is blocked, they would come in that way. That would be the primary.
The majority of the
Oh, so
traffic,
it's the
the majority of the time, they will be going
Yeah,
through the
okay.
parking lot and loading the backside through the drive-through bays.
Just to add on to what Chad was saying, so we did actually model a 48-foot long fire truck, which would be a very large ladder truck. And we are able to actually have them come into that back parking lot off of Homestead, maneuver through that back parking lot safely and turn into most of the apparatus bays. The westernmost apparatus bay is a little tight for a truck to get into, but in a meeting that I attended recently, I believe that the fire chief said that first apparatus bay was going to be for smaller vehicles, not necessarily fire trucks.
Were you just running through the example of coming from the south going to the east and up and around, or were you saying from Homestead?
From Manitowoc Road to Homestead and at the end of the parking lot.
Yeah, so what I'm getting at is, I mean, you're driving across something that, a place that could be busy. If we do have the emergency, or let's say polling station, or there's a lot of cars here. In a perfect world, it seems like we would rather have them come around the right side, the east side, and up and over. Am I right? Like, so then we're not driving through potentially a busy parking lot.
Through that back parking lot.
And you never have to back in, we just drive up and around, right? And we need to have a little extra width on that east side.
On the east side, no, the width that we have shown there currently can handle the large.
Up towards you, or even a largest trucks. Okay, so that's always an option if, let's say, this is busy.
That
Full left here.
Yeah. Yeah, we always want to have 2 points of ingress and egress in case something happens. Let's say there's construction, or let's say something's happening at one of these locations. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just interested that the fire chief didn't rule out backing in when there's going to be 2 options to just pull forward without obstructing.
Yeah, I think we've kind of put him on the spot. I was asking him some questions about which direction they would want to come in from. His response, I not exact words, but his response is that if they're responding to a fire that's kind of coming down Manitowoc heading west, he said, "Oh, can't really rule out the fact that we would use that driveway." I suppose, right?
Yeah.
I just have one more question. For the alternate, I thought the last time we spoke about this, there was also for an alternate for like another addition for locker rooms. Is it
Well, that's in the station.
that, yeah, but what, so like that's already, is that?
The alternate is to build out the space for dorms if we become a full-time station.
Okay,
So if you hit on the 3rd, 4th page in this bracket where the color coding is, the grayish and or whatever grayish blue up here. This is the dorms
yeah,
and the incidence in space of that sort.
yeah,
So that part of that is being bid out as an alternative.
okay, so,
And if the costs come in good, we'll build it out right away, but if not, it'll just be like a white box and then the fixtures and.
sure, okay, yeah. I just wanted to clarify, because I couldn't, when we last said it, like clearly said that out here and I couldn't see that from, but so no, thank you.
All the way up to the water service, is that what it says in the gray?
Yeah, the water service and all those dorm rooms, and then the kitchen and the day room, that would be all those 2 southern rooms, that would be all part of that bid. And then there's a weight room is the next room down. That would be it, that will be able to finish the first bid.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, you did mention that you'd be doing landscaping as well.
Yes.
So I do see flag note 2, monument sign and flagpole dash. But I think especially being on the Manitowoc Road, we really don't want any vehicle traffic on that, where the bay is. I'm assuming that's gonna be noted as an exit, and that we want traffic to come from Homestead Lane. We want like the flag notes and the locations of the visitor signs and point entrance signs, or is that later down the road? More less minor.
In my opinion, that's more or less minor, but I mean, if it's something that we want to add.
And it's a project village will take up. Yeah. Staff, village staff is gonna do the sign.
The signings, yeah, all right, that's fine. And then my last comment I wrote down here is, I see the alternate bays and the renderings do show with the alternate bays, not without it. So I was curious if we did without the extra 2 bays, what it would look like landscaping wise. Is it just gonna be, it's not gonna be paved, correct? That's what I was curious about, is it's gonna be paved, and if we added the bays, do we just tear that out, or is it gonna be like landscaping?
So the intent is that area where the future bays would go would be lawn, that would be grass. We do have some storm sewer that we plan on putting in that would provide drainage for the roof line of the roof of the apparatus bays, the additional. What we were thinking, we haven't really gotten to this point yet in the design, but what we were thinking is that if we needed to stub out that storm sewer a little bit further and put in a temporary catch basin just to drain that area. So I guess to answer your question, everything that's shown on the site plan that's shaded in gray would be constructed as part of the, the base bid. And that apparatus, those additional apparatus bays, that would just be landscaping for now or lawn for now, I guess. So it wouldn't have to be ripped up.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, all I know is that when the board toured the, fire station in Greenville.
Mhm.
And, they had a 6-bay there. And, if you look at the base bid from a 4-bay to 6-bay, it's not that much more for a couple extra bays, because, inflation going up 20% every year.
Mhm.
It's actually a bigger value to go with the 6-bay for future growth, because it's once it's incorporated into the original design, the costs are just a couple thousand more for that extra room,
It's not a scale built right now.
Yeah, so I just want to make that note.
And I think that's a valid point. We're probably gonna be awarding that.
Yeah,
I just don't, just in case something goofy happens in the bid and the project costs come in way over. And the board is like, whoa, I would just wanna give us options to
Yeah.
be able to look at it. If maybe there's even the need to borrow a little bit more money to accommodate that. We'll have to see what the costs are.
because I couldn't believe it wasn't that much more just for the 2 additional bays.
Correct.
But if you were to do it, 5 years later, it'd be 10 times, a lot more, you know what I'm saying? So, look at the comparison and everything like that, we got everything right there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
So,
I agree with you. And I honestly believe we're probably building the base,
yeah,
but we just have to have some alternates in
Yeah.
case we have some, some kind of bidding cost problem. I don't want the whole project to be jeopardized.
all right.
so we're looking at going out for bids when? What's our target date to go out for bids?
Bailey, can you answer that?
Right now, it is May 6th. So we will have all the documents completed by the end of April. And then bids will go out to contractors early May.
And then construction starts June?
June or July.
Wow,
Mhm.
wow. It's exciting.
It's, I would say it's about a year construction,
Yeah,
probably give or take 10 months to 12 months probably.
right. Okay, very good. Any other questions, guys? Looks like we're definitely making progress here. All good?
I'll make a motion to accept the site plan review. For W5662 Manitowoc Road, so 39142.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, with the printed conditions below.
Yes,
With-
the staff conditions 1 through 6.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are moving forward. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh. Okay, we are to Harrison, future land use map, Village of Harrison, items for discussion, so there's no decision tonight, this is just discussion and questions. And then here again, this is in conjunction with the open house for Thursday night. And again, the board is not gonna sit up here, there's no planning commission up there, we're gonna be part of the audience. I don't want anyone to take over control of the discussion because we want to hear from the people and just listen.
Well, the consultant will be running the.
Right, good. I want to, and hopefully people will listen and not be too enthusiastic about their viewpoints.
So
All right,
what I just handed out is a handout that will be provided at the meeting on Thursday to everybody that's in attendance. I've got copies if there's people in the audience that want to see it as well. So it talks a little bit about what a comprehensive plan is and what the future land use map is. What I would say related to this, so the village, last time we did a comprehensive plan was in 2017. The state statute requires the plan to be updated and rewritten basically every 20 years. And then to do an update to it, and they don't state what the update needs to be, but you're supposed to do an update to it every 10 years. So we're kind of in that timeframe. I mean, we have until 2027 to do an update, but given the change that's happening in Harrison recently, it makes sense to update it. I honestly think that a community like Harrison with the amount of growth that's happening should probably be updating this stuff every 3 to 5 years. So there's been some comments about citizen engagement up until this point, and what I would say is a lot of the decisions that have been made in the future land use map that has been provided to you are really related to comments we received during the community survey that the village issued in late 2023, early 2024. And then in the summer of 2024 is when we brought the consultant SRF Consulting on board. The reason we went with that firm is because they're doing the Calumet County's update, and we got a very good price in getting ours updated as part of their overall package. There had been 3 meetings with the village board. At those meetings, they reviewed the existing challenges, land use goals, and talked about the future land use map and different land uses that the board could support. There have been a number of staff workshops with us, Josh and I, and the staff reviewing things to get to a point where we are today. And I think there's been comments about public input prior to this, and I'm not quite sure what that would look like without having something to present to the public. So where we're at today is we've got a draft future land use map that has been provided to each one of you. That will be the basis for the discussion at the Thursday meeting as well. In early April will be the chapters, the actual text updates will be finished by the consultant, and we will provide those to the board, to this board. What I would say, there's not going to be a lot of text changes from the 2017 plan other than updating demographic data and population data and census data. So we will provide those text updates to the board to consider at the April meeting. We don't have a timeline as to when this needs to be adopted by. I think the more citizen input we get, the better it is, and depending on the outcome of Thursday's meeting, with comments from the public and online comments, will determine, if there's changes that need to be made, if there's additional input that's needed, we can do that. So at this point, the village ordinance requires a 30-day public hearing before adoption of this. We have not published a notice on that yet, and we're thinking it's probably not going to happen until after the April meetings, and work to get this adopted sometime in May or June. So you can see that the draft land use map, if there's a number 4 goals that it's tried to address. And just to talk a little bit, so it's focused residential development in sewer service areas, given that a large part of the village is not serviced by any water or sewer. Those areas will be left in the agricultural state with limited development. The plan tried to figure out the next 20 years or so based on the sewer service area where the sewer plans are able to be extended. This currently for both the Darkway Sanitary District and the Harrison Utility area. In the previous plan, it had commercial development sporadically placed all over the village. With the current market of the commercial, it's going to be very difficult to get one parcel of commercial here, one parcel there. So what we tried to do is bring it and put it in areas where people may consider going, like intersections of US 10 and 55, or 55 and 114, where there's a lot of traffic counts in an area that would justify having commercial development. So we pulled a lot of the commercial and put it into designated areas, either as industrial kind of development or commercial, development. The commercial development scene is definitely changing daily, with a lot of businesses that we've patronized over the years that are clothing shop. So, the online sales continue to be the majority of it. So it's really having an effect on the types of commercial. And I think, we were cognizant of that as well. And then to look at housing options, there is some sensitivity to single family And we know that that's gonna continue here. So we need to plan for that. There was a new category for medium density development added, which is a combination of single family and duplexes, to kind of be more on the outside areas and be in transitional areas. So, we're happy to take any comments that the board might have, or you can reserve your comments for Thursday as well, but we felt that now that we have something to review and present, that it made sense to start having the dialogue.
You know, one of the bottlenecks we got is, the Darway, sanitary district, you know, because currently everything's gravity fed 55. So is there any options for a pump station with those guys, or is that kind of like a non-discussion with those people?
It's a non-discussion at this point, the current board.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna so that was one concern, like just Darboy sanitation, being able to adapt and keep up with the growth, like. As that continues, like, what are our options if they can't keep up with our growth?
There isn't any.
Okay,
That's the challenge.
okay,
And, you know, we've had discussions with the DNR about the village permitting a wastewater treatment plant or Harrison Utilities, and the DNR is not open to that because they don't want to issue any more permits for that kind of stuff.
sure.
We had discussions with Belgioso, who has a lagoon system for their cheese plant out here on that road up here.
Schaefer Road.
or whatever. Schaefer Road. And the DNR wasn't interested in that. So sure that it's gonna, oh yeah, we've had discussions with Sherwood, and unfortunately, as we know, Sherwood is, you know, there's not a lot of open discussion with them because they're kind of encompassed by Harrison, so they won't get the tax base, and maybe there's some agreement in the future that there could be some sharing in of tax base, that it would be a new model for anybody. But long story short, we're really, you know, aside from the Harrison Utilities growth area, to Mark's point, until the Darboy Sanitary District is willing to put in lift stations to service other areas, we're gonna be kind of landlocked from a utility standpoint until that time.
Okay. Unless we buy Darboy.
Unless we take over Darboy.
There is a possibility of that based on the number of users. That would be an intense
Yeah.
legal situation.
And then I had another concern, I guess, just with traffic. So I know this is with like the Calumet County as a whole, so obviously County N is gonna get really backed up currently. Right now, you continually add commercial down N, and then you add more subdivisions. Was there discussion with either improving at like right? Because otherwise you go to 10 to get to 441. Like is there, what's the thought process then on just traffic flow as you continually move out, but you're just gonna have bottlenecks as you get closer and closer in, especially on N and KK, is where I'm seeing the biggest concern now already, but.
So the board at the last village board meeting passed a resolution to basically call on our partners to come to the table and have a discussion related to traffic on KP and start planning for that. It's very challenging because the right of way is very close to the road and there's not a lot of expansion opportunities. But there needs to be a discussion about it. County N is another one of those. I think, you know, in short term, you're gonna see County N being forced to be urbanized. And maybe it's not a direct, you know, north-south corridor where you zoom through it. There may have to be some controlled intersections in that area to try to help with traffic movements and stuff as the area develops. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, you know, it's the kind of the north-south major corridors in these areas, and that's where the development is happening, particularly because of the Kimberly School District and also because of utilities.
Okay, thank you.
I think, if I can comment, watching the public meetings, I definitely noticed there was quite a disconnect between the board saying they wanted public input, and then we didn't see any of that. So, like at the May meeting, it was talked about having the open house, you know, SRF Consulting wanted that at the end of phase 1, and we're now at the end of phase 3, and that hasn't happened yet. You know, pop-up events were talked about at the Darboy Park Summer in the Park series, and those didn't happen. There was supposed to be, or talk about a housing preference survey, and that never happened either. So I'm just curious why those things didn't happen, why the public wasn't involved, or even like the community.
There's been a lot of discussion at the board level about the types of housing that should be, you know, and I'll be honest with you, the board is very split on what that should look like. And that's the reason, frankly, for a lot of those decisions going by the wayside. Because how do we go to the public when we don't even know what the direction should be on the types of housing that this village is looking to have?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate that so much of this is being decided by whatever the majority vote might be from the village board. It's hard based off of, you know, one survey back in 2023. I don't feel we can have an educated discussion on this stuff because we haven't been involved in the planning process at all to date as the plan commission. I would have liked to see, you know, this handout before today. I do think it's a bit of a slap in the face that, you know, the public is seeing this on Thursday and we're kind of just seeing it today, as well. So that's some of my feedback.
Yeah, it's valid feedback. What as I said to you on the phone, this is an update and it's really focused in on the whole goal when the board set out to do it was to update the future land use map. And I feel that it's hard to go to the public without something on paper to share with them. So, you know, whether we got input on the types of housing and those kinds of things, we could have done that, although that survey that we did in 23 had housing options in it.
And that was a big survey.
And a lot of people took it.
A lot of people took it.
So that's why
Only 780 people. We have 15,000 residents. You guys keep pounding that survey. And it was really a small minority vocal
well, a
minority.
postcard went to every household and
I
you
understand.
decided not to take it. They aren't that interested in the issue.
I understand, but the biggest problem why we haven't moved forward is because of the division on the board. And let's call it what it is. It's you've got 4 against 3 on every vote. So that's why it has not moved forward. It should have moved forward months ago. I agree. But it did. But it's moving forward now. We're trying.
I did also, I know, trustee Hanschke, am I saying that right? He had at one of the meetings, asked for an analysis of the 2017 plan. Specifically what has been accomplished already and what hasn't, because I know there's a list of short-term goals on the implementation plan from the 2017 plan. And those should have been completed within 0 to 4 years. And I guess I would like to know what has been done since 2017. And I think the public should know too. Yeah.
I think the text, I believe that when we get the text chapters, because I think it's going to address the ones that have been completed and the ones that are not completed and kind of pushing them forward.
Okay.
So who did made these changes to the forward most recent, like actually went in there and changed the colors? That's
It's insulted bid,
insult.
but the staff had 3 or 4 meetings with them and went parcel by parcel.
I was gonna say that's a lot of work, and I figured there would be parcel to parcel.
And identified what we heard and what we, you know, what we suspect and what we hear, you know, from residents and what we hear from developers and try to pick a land use that we thought was gonna be representative. Now, I would say is that this is a plan and a plan is fluid and, you know, it changes can occur and, you know, the boards can, the planning commission and the board can approve amendments to the plan as we go along. Well, yeah, we spend hours going through this and trying to look at every parcel and determining what it was in 17, what we think it might be in the future, and kind of where development is occurring.
So could I pick out a couple parcels, and I think it would be interesting for the public, anyways, watching, especially too, or here, that kind of get some ideas of what are the things you're looking for. So I'll pick out one that's really easy to spot. It's the red one. It's in the upper left-hand corner. There's quite a bit of it's the mixed use. which is currently now, a lot of that is highlighted in red. The big block, is a lot, seems agricultural. With a sliver of that is, I think, commercial right now. What was, do you recall anything about that?
The reason that was chosen is because it fronts the industrial park of the city of Appleton, and it seemed like nobody is gonna wanna live next to it. Single family isn't gonna wanna be next to a industrial park of another municipality that we don't have control over. So commercial was put in there as, and particularly because of the traffic counts along Midway, it was chosen to be commercial in that area to kind of transition from industrial, commercial, light commercial into single family or other, apartment type multifamily development.
I do like your idea of grouping more of the commercial or mixed use, for example, together rather than being sporadic. I think that's wise. I was also like driving on a couple roads and just considering this use over the last several weeks. And I notice as I go from road to road, because I do notice a lot, right, heard a lot of feedback online from residents that people kind of miss some of the rural feel in the upper left-hand area. But I'm seeing in some cases house setbacks from busier roads much further than other cases. Whereas I think I've heard of other cases where when the setback is close to busy roads, then you actually have people complain about either road noise or speeding cars and such. So I was curious about any kind of ordinances that could help with maybe setbacks on pre-prescribed roads, because having just one parcel colored a certain color doesn't really, I mean, maybe that's just too much detail and we're looking at a bigger level, but it just seems like that's a common theme where people kind of miss rather looking at backs of houses than trees, right? And there's ways to get around that and still have, let's say, single family or whatnot, and still have a line of trees, right? Just kind of curious your thoughts on that.
So a lot of it has to play into the costs for doing development.
Sure.
So
If you're taking away land.
you're taking away valuable land, and any time you have a park or you have a non-developable space, that's that's money that the developer's not gonna recoup. And when you put together the cost of water, sewer, roads and everything that we require of the developers to do it, they need to have more, unfortunately, densely platted subdivisions to make the numbers work.
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
it's not like it was 30 years ago. They're putting in their own roads, sidewalks, storm sewers and retention ponds, that's not a major cost, so they're trying to get something to return to be able to come here, Where years ago, they had a great idea like called Greenville.
Yeah, right.
1 to 3 acre lots, we don't have that luxury over here, unfortunately, I wish we did. Yeah.
And there is there, I mean, RS1 zoning is, in our zoning code is larger lots, less dense. RS2 is more dense. There could be some changes to that in the future. And try to bring in some more natural areas and stuff, but it's very difficult for developers to make it work in the all pro forma. One of the things that the board has initiated is recreational trails around stormwater ponds to at least give another means of amenity in the neighborhood. That people can access these ponds and, walk around and then look at the wildlife and do whatever. But that happens at least to give it another kind of more natural feel, sort of, if it's a prairie or something like that. But it really comes down to dollars and cents.
Another thing is there's a contractor here on the village board meeting, I believe she mentioned something about green spaces and community gardens, for example. And I think there might have been some feedback on community gardens as well, on the local level here. So I was kind of curious if community gardens or let's say just nature preservation is to be considered in addition to what we already have. I mean, Darboy Park is nice, it has a nice wooded area, but back to that rural feel that people do miss. I was kind of curious if there is, let's say a 40 or 60 acre area where we can just have only wooded, no lights, no nothing, just something that's no utilities, no nothing, kind of getting that even in the nearby area of, some of that residential area. I can see how one of the concerns would be, we only have so much real estate we can expand on the,
Yeah. You're.
on
So I
the
think
sewer
it's,
level.
I think it's a
All
valid,
their lots too.
I think it's a valid point. The problem-
Right,
$100,000.
Yes, costs, and a lot of it is privately owned. And so we're gonna be paying market value, not to say we can't do that. And, I think as we continue to do development, we need to be working with the developers if there is those opportunities to maybe buy a forested area from them if it makes sense that it's centrally located to service a little bit larger area and try to do that. So an example of this is over off of Midway, Renwood Park is a new village park that was donated by the developer as part of the plat. And then the developer contributed 300,000 to build the park on top of it. So that's got a forested area and an open space. We're developing an inclusive playground at it right now. That's an example of working with a developer and getting, space dedicated as part of the development and going forward. It's hard to figure out where that is at this point, when these are all farm fields and private forests owned by people that we don't know when it's gonna develop.
One of the things though that, and it's not our dirt, but the south portion of the Appleton Industrial Park off of Midway.
Will be a
Yeah, it's going to be a very, I don't know how many acres, but
It's
pretty big.
pretty big.
The whole woods is gonna be a park.
I'm sorry, where was that?
On Midway and,
Industrial park.
In Eisner,
Eisenhower.
Between Luke and Eisenhower, and big woods.
Oh, yeah.
But the woods is gonna be a park. They're not gonna develop that woods. Which is nice, but in the future, like in the past, about 4 or 5 years ago, we got Farmers Field. Farmers Field Park.
And well, that was donated.
That was donated. That was an example where
That's about $250,000 that
Yeah,
was
that
donated.
was huge. So that was a big pickup for future parks.
And the reason it's called Farmers Field is because the Helsels who own land wouldn't donate it unless we called it Farmers Field.
So we have a comprehensive outdoor rec plan that was updated in 2022 that identifies locations for future parks to service people based on the standards. So we follow that plan as part of the development to make sure that we're still, providing what's required, but to pinpoint on here kind of where that is, it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, you can see that. And yeah, I mean, once you build single family homes, you can't undo them, right? So it's definitely something that, the comprehensive plan notes that we have all lower than average, park areas. Although when you look at percentages, it's really hard over such a large area. But it's something that's,
But when you look at what's in the village, you gotta mitigate that with what's in the area as well.
Yeah,
I mean.
we got High Cliffs.
I'm at High Cliff with my dogs 2, maybe 3 times a month when it's nice. My son, senior in high school, had to have school today because ACT test. Where's Cowboys water dish? I'm going to High Cliff, that's not our dirt, but it is. It's within our backyard here. Got Heck Rock in Menasha, the Menasha trails off 10 and 114. So a lot of things are here, they just aren't ours. So gotta kind of look globally too.
Well, and the bottom line is, there's a very limited amount of sewer service area left. And realistically, that needs to be used for housing. Because right now we have zero inventory of senior, we don't have any senior housing, we don't have any affordable housing to speak of at all. And what's the going price of a first home? $400,000 to $500,000. I mean, it's crazy. But realistically, that area that's in the sewer service area, it has to be saved for residential development.
is the highlighted red areas, that is noted as sewer service area, is that the current? I'm assuming the upper quadrant, that is the current Darboy
Yeah.
sewer line that we cannot expand. unless something changes.
Manitowoc Road to the north from Manitowoc Road to the north, like Woodland School to the north, that's Darboy. To the south is Harrison Utilities.
Okay.
Harrison Utilities has a little bit more expansion area, and it's primarily between 114 and Lake Winnebago up to State Park Road. So, where this kind of ends here, it's a little chunk where this transitional housing stops. That's kind of the line where they can maybe expand to over the next 40 years as part of the DNR sewer service area. And that just goes up, none of this area is even in that service area yet, so,
Say 40.
yes.
Well, then it should be on the 10-year plan, right?
We might be able to do that, expand the sewer service area if we can get East Central and Neenah Menasha Sanitary District. Well, you gotta think up, they didn't think we'd ever get any of the sewer and water in. But that would require lift stations. And permission from a whole lot of, they never thought we'd get in anything 20 years ago, Chad. Gotta be big positive. You're gonna be here for another 20 years. Think positive. Any other questions, guys? All
I
right,
guess I do have one.
Yeah.
The 2045, because it's my understanding that this will be updated again in 10 years. Like
first in our.
Typically, it would be 10
Okay.
years, it probably is gonna need to be more closer to
Closer.
3 to 5.
Okay. So is that, because I know it's listed on here too, and it was on the postcard.
It's 20, the statute reads
It's
that
like
it's 20
20
years
years.
from the time you adopt your
Okay.
plan. So
Okay,
then if the plan gets adopted in 25, it would be a 2040 plan in the state size. It
okay,
doesn't continue with the
got it.
2017, like you had said on the phone. I
Yeah.
went back and read the statute, so
Okay.
it would be 2037 is from when you adopt your new plan,
Newest
then you
one.
go out 20 years.
Okay, got it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. But the way it's changing here, we can't,
Yeah,
most communities can let it go for that, but
yeah,
Harrison can't.
okay,
That's true.
sounds good. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments, guys?
So what I would say is, if you can't make Thursday's meeting, the comment form is fillable on the village's website on the homepage. The maps and the land use categories and all of that kind of stuff is there as well. What will happen on Thursday is the consultant will go through kind of where we've been and where we're going, and then there'll be people at tables with maps, and we're just basically gonna do similar stuff to what we just did here, answer questions and talk about things, and people can submit comments, and then we'll look at what they are and make changes and recommendations, and we'll bring this back to the planning commission and the board in April with what we find out from the comments.
I think the comment period is open until April 14th, I think you said, correct?
The comment period is first. And then we're gonna have to, whenever we get to a point where we agree with a plan that everybody can move forward, then we'll have to have a 30-day public comment period per our ordinance.
Okay. Good to go, guys?
One more thing.
That's okay.
I'm a very systematic person, like procedural wise anyways. But, it's hard to make like a procedure on something that's like this, right? If one person says they want something on one parcel and another person says the exact opposite, it's really hard to make a decision, right? Based on feedback alone, we only have those two people. Now, is there any more or less like borderline criteria? Let's say if 5 people say the same exact thing about the same exact area. What are your inputs and what do you expect to get out of the community feedback when there are X amount of people saying X amount of things?
Normally you try to group them and then you try to deal with them based on these people have a similar concern, how can we address it? Unfortunately, if you just have 1 or 2 offs, those kind of get stuck to the side and, unless they're major changes that make sense, a lot of times those are incorporated, but if you have a majority of the people saying this area needs to be shrunk or whatever it might be, then, you kind of do that based on it.
Yeah, so you can more or less tabulate it and then sort, okay, this is the biggest group who's really concerned about this. Okay, let's focus on that. Then the next thing, okay, the next thing goes on. And then, you work your way down.
Yep,
on the things you can
yes,
impact.
yes.
Okay.
But if you own a parcel that, is a one-off parcel on the south side of the village and it's not gonna have a huge impact and you're gonna tell us that you're not, happy with whatever it is, we may go back and see what was in the 2017 plan and look at that, but that one may not get as high a priority as, you know, a lot of people saying they don't like this huge orange spot.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, well, then we have the building permit report, the zoning permit report. Any questions or comments?
Is the commercial stuff all from 55 and KK, all that? Is that all from the 278, or is that somewhere else?
That's something else.
Okay.
We have not sold any land out there yet. We have contracts, it's all under contract, but we have not closed on them because we're waiting for the roads to get built and the lots to be filled before we start selling.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope. I don't think this is maybe it's a zoning more or less or kind of related question. Does anyone know that what the construction is on Calumet Street right now that they're doing?
Whereabouts?
There's cones and there's some utility people, it seems like, out there.
On KK?
Yeah, it's between Coop and Noe.
Oh, that's Appleton.
Yeah, it's on the Buchanan side.
Mechanic, yeah. Okay,
I don't know what it is, I haven't heard, but I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
I just saw some cones and I was like, what's going on here?
Well, they were putting in ATT and
T-bars.
TDS and TDS ATT lines, so that's yeah, and that happened right at KK. TDS cut the ATT lines, ATT customers out of power.
Smart.
That's what's going on.
Okay, all right, if there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn? Our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for April 22nd at 6 p.m. There a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion is carried. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you Thursday night. Darlene. Darlene.
I think we will, maybe we'll bring the whole family.
Bring them, so funny thing, I mentioned, was too for jumping.
Hi, Mark.
Alice.